Okay, call a meeting to order. This is the Genoa Township Board of Zoning Appeals. It's March 26, 2024, 7 p.m. at the Genoa Township Hall, 5111 South Old 3C Highway, Westerville, Ohio 43082. We have one agenda item tonight. It's BZA case 2024-03, which is an area variance for the property located at 6809 Tussock Street Road. We have staff present, Susan Dorch, our zoning inspector, and Paul Benson, also zoning inspector. And I will call the roll. Ms. Yu.
Here.
Mr. Boone.
Here.
Mr. DeRose.
Here.
Chair is here. Absent are Mr. Hanson, Mr. Phillips, and Mr. Christian. And I will read the following statement into the record. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the board's established and publicly available rules of procedure. It may be recorded. Such a recording is a public record and may be posted on the township's website. All attendees, including board members and staff, are expected to behave in an orderly, non-disruptive manner. All applicants will be granted an opportunity to make their formal presentation. The audience will then be granted an opportunity to comment, followed by the applicant's response and questions from the board. Public comment shall be limited to designated time periods directed to the board of relevance to the board's business and the topic at hand, and limited to 5 minutes per person, unless otherwise authorized. The chair reserves the right to restrict the number of times a member of the public is permitted to speak to only once per authorized comment period, and may enact any other reasonable ad hoc protocols necessary to maintain a fair, safe, or orderly meeting. These policies were adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals to provide for the respectful, constructive, and efficient discussion of business and to allow for the due process as required by law. Okay, first item is we'll review and approve the meeting minutes from the prior meeting. If you want to give those a quick read and review, and I will then entertain a motion to approve. Okay. Hang on here, 1 second. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. DeRose, second.
Second.
Ms. Yu, any discussion, any revisions, corrections, anything? Okay, all in favor of approval of the meeting minutes from February 27th, 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
And Mr. Boone abstains. The chair and Mr. DeRose and Ms. Yu vote yes. No votes. Motion carries. Meeting minutes are adopted. Okay, moving on to our first order of business today, our first application. And I will ask the applicants and anyone that wishes to speak on this application to stand and raise their right hand so they can be sworn in. Okay. We don't charge extra if you want to stand. Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Be seated. Okay, and we will start, oh, hold on. I guess I should read that into the record. I'll read the application into the record. Michelle L. and Ian M. Murphy requesting approval of a variance to construct a 28 by 32 accessory building, one more than is currently allowed on a lot of less than 1 acre at 6809 Tussock Street Road, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, which is currently zoned suburban residential SR. This is case VZA 2024-03. The legal notice for this hearing was printed and published on March 13th, 2024 in the Delaware Gazette and posted at the Genoa Township Hall on March 5th, 2024. An attempt to mail notice of this hearing to property owners contiguous to and across the street from the subject property was also made. Entering into evidence are the following: Exhibit A, the legal notice; B, the sign-in sheet; C, the application; D, the staff report; and Exhibit E, any public comment email, which includes email. And we will begin with Susan Dortch with the staff report.
Thank you, Mark. So as noted in the legal notice, the subject property's address is 6809 Tussock Street Road. It's lot 1274 in the Waters subdivision. And it is a 0.748 acre parcel, and it is zoned suburban residential. The residents on the subject property, according to the Delaware County Auditor site, the residence on that property was built in 1901. It's way prior to the adoption of zoning in the township. So no zoning permits related to the dwelling were found. This is understandable given the age of the structure. There was a zoning permit, 2006-412 was issued for construction of an accessory building in 2006. No other zoning permits were found for this property. According to the Delaware County Auditor site, the property was purchased by the Murphys in July of 2013. The applicant had previously submitted a variance application for the same request on April 30th, 2021. This request was not heard by the Board of Zoning Appeals as the applicant withdrew the application on May 21st, 2021 prior to the scheduled hearing. That was May 25th, 2021. And you all received a copy of that email attached to the staff report. So the variance request is to be able to build a second accessory building. Section 1609.01C of the zoning resolution states that the maximum number of permitted accessory buildings per lot shall be 1 + 1 for each full acre of lot. So since this is a lot of less than 1 acre, they're only permitted 1 accessory building, which they already have, so they have a detached garage. The applicant stated that the issuance of the variance will, in all likelihood, increase the value of the property by allowing the homeowners to better utilize the space available, but did not provide any evidence to support this statement. The applicant stated that all required setbacks are easily met and the overall coverage of existing buildings on the lot is far below the allowable percentage in the code, but did not provide any evidence to support the statement. The Genoa Township Zoning Resolution, Section 1609.01B states that the side, rear, yard setbacks for accessory buildings shall be 10 feet. The site plan provided as part of the variance application did not show the setback distance from the property lines to the proposed accessory building to the side and rear property lines. So staff was unable to verify compliance with that. Staff was unable to verify compliance with the lot coverage standards as building square footage and impervious surface square footages were also not provided, and staff was unable to verify compliance with the maximum 22-foot height standard as the drawings that were provided with the application did not show the height of the building at the front elevation. While such measurements are not technically required for this application, the board may request them if they feel such information is pertinent or necessary for the purpose of making a decision on the subject's application. Providing these measurements would also help staff determine if any additional variances were necessary. So the variance request is to allow for 2 accessory buildings on the lot. If the variance is granted, then if the applicant at a future date decided, or a future property owner decided to attach the existing accessory building, the one closest to the principal structure, then this variance and then another accessory building could be built. So if they attach the existing one to the house and they had constructed the one they're asking for tonight, then another accessory building could be built unless the board determines that they should put some kind of condition as part of their motion. So, a copy of the applicant's variance application was provided to police, fire, and maintenance. The fire marshal had no comments or concerns. No other responses were received. That's all I have. Oh, I guess our office did receive,
I was just going there, go ahead.
our office did receive a email, which you have a copy of, that just said vote no, and we have no idea who it was from, or also you can give that the weight it deserves. And then I also received a phone call from an adjacent neighbor, but he's here this evening, so.
Oh, okay, I'm sure we'll hear from him then. Okay, let's hear from the applicant. You can either be at the podium or, oh, did you have questions of staff? No, I don't, do you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted.
And I assume you're Mr. Murphy,
I am.
or? Okay, cool. Introduce yourself and tell us about your application.
I'm Ian Murphy. I live at 6809 Tussock Street. And have a lot of information to answer all those questions.
Good.
I didn't include a lot of the information because I didn't want to confuse the issue, as we weren't applying for a height variance or anything like that. So we also
Right.
just barely started the design process
Okay,
because we knew we had to do this.
okay.
So we didn't want to get too deep into the process with builders before we knew whether we could even do anything.
Okay.
So I kind of went through, created my own little bulleted list. As far as like some of the questions, the drawing that was included is actually pretty close to scale. It's from a surveyor's drawing. I should have written the setbacks. It's approximately 12 feet from the south property line and about 35 feet from the east. Although,
Okay.
as you can see from the drawing, even there's quite a bit of empty space in on our lot. So I don't really foresee setbacks being an issue. I don't know that those would be the final numbers because we have to set it with the builder and they haven't looked at things like drainage, elevation, all those kind of things. As far as the lot size and lot coverage, like Susan said, it's 0.748 acres, which is 32,582 square feet. The current building coverage is at 1,995 square feet. It's 6% of the lot.
Sorry, what was that number again?
1,995.
Does that include the garage or no?
That does include the garage.
Including the garage?
Yes. So that's 6% of the lot. Impervious surfaces and building coverage combined is at 2,881 square feet, which is 9% of the lot, which is well below the 35% allowable. With the new building that's being proposed, the building coverage would be 2,891 square feet, and that would be 8% of the lot, so a 2% increase. The impervious surfaces and building coverage combined total with the new building, this is an estimate at about 4,300 square feet, which would be 13%. That's kind of pending what's decided about, you know, an apron in front of the garage doors, a concrete pad outside the walk door, things like that. So I don't have an exact number for that either. As far as other things, the intent is to stay within the zoning code for everything else. So wall height, building
Basically,
height,
we're just asking for a variance to have the
just for the
second-
space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
As with the materials that were submitted, as drawn, the peak height of the building would be 18 feet, 8 inches. That's with a 14-foot sidewall and a 412 pitch roof. But like I said, it's not a final measurement. If we decided to change the pitch of the roof to more closely match the house or anything like that, we would drop the wall height so that we would stay under the 22-foot, as we're not looking to go through this over and
22
over
feet
again.
complies, I assume, Susan?
Excuse me?
22 feet is compliant with current code?
Yeah, it has to be no higher, no taller than.
No taller than 22.
Okay.
Can you give what was the square footage again that you said with the new building, the building square footages?
It would be
You said 2881, is that right?
2891.
Oh, 91.
2091.
Yes.
And you said the total lot coverage would then be 4,300 square foot?
Yes, with the impervious surfaces and new building. The number I actually came up with was 4,277, but as I don't know what it's going to be, I just rounded up.
Sure.
For the sake of just keeping it easy. What else did I have? I don't know. Were there other questions that?
Okay. Does that basically address the questions of
Yeah.
staff? I
We
think
just-
it sounded
I
like
mean,
it
most
did.
of those items in there were, a lot of that information was more for the applicant, so we can prevent them coming back. Like you said, you don't want to come back again and again, and
Oh, you'll enjoy it.
obviously,
No.
you know,
Yeah, okay, and I agree.
so, I mean,
We like
he
to see you
seems
once.
to be well under the maximum numbers. so.
Okay.
Yeah, and as
Okay.
far as, like it's in the memo that we had submitted an application before.
Yeah.
Withdrawn the application. We had some discussions with neighbors about the previous plan, decided to withdraw the application. This application, we actually went through the process of looking at several other alternatives, including removing the existing garage, building a larger building, all those kind of things. We did look at adding an addition, but because of the elevation change between the existing house and the detached garage, it's not practical. I mean, I'm sure it's something that somebody would do for enough money, but it would be one of those weird architectural features that just looks wrong.
Okay.
I understand the concern that maybe somebody later down the line could do that, and that might cause problems. We don't have any intention of doing that, especially based on some of the numbers we were given and the drawings we got. So
Is this a bigger structure than you originally intended, or smaller?
This is
the same,
smaller.
or Smaller? Okay.
yeah, this is about 400 square feet smaller.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the goal with moving it was to kind of keep it out of the line of sight of some of the neighbors and
Okay.
I don't know,
This
be
is-
to be a good neighbor.
This is 400 square foot smaller than the,
No, than the previous application.
oh,
When we submitted an application
Right,
3
when
years
it was
ago,
before.
it was for a 36 by 36 building, I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
This is for a 28 by 32.
I don't think we ever actually saw the application.
No, we withdrew it a couple of weeks before
Okay.
before the meeting was supposed to
I
happen.
think I remember that there was one pending, and that's all I remember about it.
Yeah.
So, okay,
So we were
We
looking
just
for.
mentioned that because we give a history, so it
Sure.
was part of the history.
sure. Okay. Anything, Bob, Dave, Teresa?
This is a garage, it's just meant to be a
Yeah,
garage for cars, okay.
yep. It's just a 2-car garage. storage and shop space.
Okay.
Okay. All right, if you guys don't have any questions of staff or the applicant, I'll open public comment. Sir, if you have a comment, anybody? No? You can come up to the podium and introduce yourself, name and address, if you would.
Is the microphone on?
Oh, is that microphone on? Yeah, I've heard that too.
It's recorded, though.
Well, then you might want to do that. I'm Steve Goebel. I'm to the east of the property at 6814 Whitetail Lane.
Oh, okay, so you'd be behind?
I'm right behind.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
So, yeah, a few of my questions were site location, which he kind of, Ian mentioned 35 feet from the east, 12 foot from the south. So that was one of my questions that I had when I called Susan to see if it was somewhere.
Right, and as you can see, when you called her, she probably didn't know that.
Right,
So,
right. So we talked, yeah, another question was height when I talked to Susan, so 18 feet 8 inches, it sounds like. Sidewalls at 14 feet bearing. So I guess for me and my family and my wife, our biggest things is location is critical because we have a pool at the rear of our property. If you look, you'll see the highlighted
Oh,
Murphy
yeah.
property, and then you see me right there at Whitetail Lane.
Uh-huh.
So, I guess sketching it in, they have a fire pit there to the corner. If you see it to the south, east corner there, right there. So I'm assuming after talking to
They always
Ian,
put these so I can't see them, so I have to move.
I can probably, oh, you're up anyway.
There
I
you
can
go.
rotate the television.
that was pretty good. So, so it looks to me like the building will be then to the west of that fire pit.
Basically, you're gonna place the building.
No, down, no
It would be
further.
farther
Further
down.
down towards the tree, yeah, right in
Yeah,
there,
kind of in between the tree and where the fire pit is now.
right in
Although
there, yeah.
The intention is to get
Yeah,
rid of the fire
Right,
pit.
so,
Oh, I see.
yeah, so if you look to the south, the neighbor there has accessory structures as well. So I think it kind of, they all kind of fit together now.
It's,
Um,
yeah, I saw that where it's somewhat conforming and his is actually pretty good size.
Yeah. So again, I guess for me, that was a long time ago, those have been. Those go way back, guys. So I guess for my wife and I, the location, we feel much more comfortable with this location than the previous application.
Okay.
And I mean, for me, I have another question. Is a driveway going to be required or not? Are you guys, do you require a
We
driveway?
don't normally.
Okay.
We're not an architectural committee, so we
Gotcha.
don't normally require.
Gotcha. Okay,
Things like that.
okay.
Unless,
So-
the only thing that might require it is the zoning code.
Uh-huh.
And really, that's
Right.
pretty beyond what we do.
So Ian, you mentioned a concrete patch. You'll have an apron
Yeah,
of some type in front of the building?
that's,
for- Okay,
I would expect there to
Gotcha.
be.
okay.
And to kind of answer, am I allowed? to
Yeah,
just kind
you
of-
guys, yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, we know
Sure.
each other, it's.
I was
Um,
actually, he tried to reach out Sunday. I've been out of town. I just got back from Texas today. So this is about an hour ago.
Well, welcome
This
back.
is-
Yeah, thanks.
To nice weather.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a throwback to, I know that Steve would know, because of the development behind us, and he knows our property pretty well. The way that the driveway used to be,
Mm-hmm.
when Nancy lived there, how it had the loop in it.
Yes.
The initial plan would be to do something similar, kind of around where the trees are.
Uh-huh.
Although those trees, they're pretty bad, they kind of.
Yeah, I assumed you guys were getting rid
Yeah,
of those.
there's 3 trees next to the driveway. Currently, 2 of them definitely need to go. There's one that's okay. So the plan would be to split off from the existing driveway and make a little loop in front
Okay.
of the new building.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that probably makes the most financial sense to.
Move the fire pit,
Yeah.
eventually do some landscaping and things
Yeah.
like that around, just.
Oh, you guys are gonna get rid of the fire pit?
I
Okay.
think so. Well, It seems strange to have it between a building and.
Right now.
Yeah. Like go hide behind the building to have a fire.
not the best.
Yeah, I got you now. I guess for me, I mean, comment-wise, it'd be just the location of the building. I mean, if I would just could somehow, I don't know if there's any guarantee of the 35 or 40 feet from the east, and then the 12-foot puts it right, I mean, in the best location for me visually, for our family. So if you guys, I don't know how we
The
handle
only
that.
thing that we can, that we can require is what the code requires.
Okay.
And based on what he has told us,
Right,
it's compliant.
okay.
So,
So
Is
that's a
there
hand,
much slope?
yeah,
in the rear
there's
yard?
about 8 feet from ours up to him, so it
Okay.
sits up, that's why the height was a question.
so he's actually.
He's
above
8 feet,
you.
yeah,
No kidding.
yeah,
Okay.
those pine trees along the back there I planted years ago. So he's up about 8 feet above us, so that's, I mean, we're gonna see it. This location though is more towards my garage, and with our view, it should not affect us, really, except for that back, bonus space, and that's not a problem. So, okay. So the location they've shown on the plan, and the dimensions we've discussed as far as the site, I mean, I would support that,
Okay.
okay? I mean, we can talk more about finishes, et cetera, things like that, but, I mean, I would support where he's putting it here.
Right. And,
Okay?
and as I said before, we're not an architectural
Right.
committee as far as
Gotcha.
the aesthetics, the finishes. We don't dictate beyond what the code does.
Yeah,
And the code
yeah.
is,
Right,
really doesn't either. So, okay.
okay.
Thank you.
So, good deal, all right.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I mean, once they apply for the permit and it goes due, I mean, there's usually no notification, but I guess what's the best way if he wanted to kind of keep an eye on, when the application is received and the actual placement and the permit is issued, just once in a while, or?
I mean, they're all on, once it's issued, it's all available through the website,
Okay,
through the document system.
okay,
But my only comment is, so if there's no stipulation that it has to be in that quadrant of the lot,
right,
he could, once he gets because his request is only for a second building,
yeah, it's good.
he could put it anywhere on the lot that was compliant for zoning.
right, so that's why I was asking if he wanted to continue to make sure that, even after this and we approve it, that it's placed where he's expecting it to, before
Well,
he actually sees any construction
but
activities,
looking
that's
at-
something that's easy to
And looking
check.
at the other side of it, though, if he decides he wants to build it and the contractor comes in and says, well, you can't build it here because of drainage or this or that or the other thing, then where are you?
Right, so there would be no notification
No.
of that, so
No, it would be a situation, well,
just encouraging the neighbors
this is
to,
right, this is the
to
only place I
check.
could build it. type
I think
thing.
our
Right.
role is, we can only dictate where it can't be, as opposed to the reverse.
Right,
Right.
and but the other thing is too, and, oh, okay, do you guys have anything for the,
Well, I guess that's, yeah, my biggest question for you guys is how do we just maintain the location is really just that part.
right, so that's why I was
And
saying, we
that's-
can't specify the location,
Right.
but we can encourage you to continue to check for when that permit is issued,
Sure.
that it's where you expect it to be, so.
Well, I have a question. Is there a better location?
No. How about
Okay.
that?
Application
I mean,
that was.
you're stating a location. I'm just saying, I'm
Yeah.
looking at this and I'm like, is it better right on the driveway?
Yeah, that would
Where-
be directly in the line of our site for sitting at the pool.
Right, we were.
I mean, sure, I guess if I was being yeah.
I mean, if
that-
you're gonna use an existing driveway.
Yeah, it would save cost
could
if
put
I
it
was
right-
building, I mean,
yeah.
that's what I do, I build, I'm a builder. I build, custom homes, remodels, additions. So, yeah, if they said to me,
I mean,
hey,
I'm looking at the direction of the garage doors. and
Sure,
everything, and
sure.
I'm sitting there
Right.
going, if you put it right on that
right,
driveway,
Yeah.
you better the situation for your neighbor.
well, you would save costs too, because you wouldn't have to add a driveway, et
There you
cetera.
go.
So if someone said to me, what's the best way to effectively build this, cost-wise, keep the numbers tight, yeah, you'd want to put it off the existing driveway, or even if it was, part of the, even a little bit over. So I guess that's, yeah, I mean, that's what, but again, I'm fine, the location they've shown, I'm okay with, so I guess I'm here to support that. Sure, I would love them to move it up a little, but I'm not, I've been sitting in front of you guys in his shoes, and it's hard, so, I guess that's my only, yeah, I like your idea.
Like I
but-
said, that might be, once the contractor actually comes in and looks, there may be that case where he says, oh, it'd be easier to put it on the driveway. I mean, we're open to that, but
sure,
from where it's drawn, I don't see it moving more than, a foot or two in any direction That's kind of why I did 12 feet instead of 10. 10's the limit. So I did 12 just out of, it was an arbitrary number. Honestly, because of the width of my mower. So it was 3 passes with the mower. And it was, I mean, it was one of those
Solid
things
logic
where,
to me.
like,
That makes sense.
did it that way, but,
So if you put it right at 10 feet too, we ask for a survey, so. if you-
Right.
If you put it on,
Yeah,
you save yourself
Right.
that money too. He also, the picture's not showing, but there's also like a 20-foot drainage easement at the back of the lot, so he has to
right, we
be,
would be
20
fine
feet.
with that. Right.
Yeah, there's 20 feet at the property
that's-
line to the rear this way on both. So, yeah, and are you 12 and 8, a total of 20 for side yard? I can't remember off the top of my head. What's
the
your side
accessory
yard?
building's 10.
10, okay. So,
The house is 12, but the accessory building's 10.
Okay.
I mean,
anything
aside
else,
from
guys?
telling you, like, I don't have any intention of putting it anywhere else. When we did the initial application 3 years ago, the previous application, the plan was to put it in the opposite corner of the yard, which would be directly in their line of sight. And that's what started the conversation about it.
Okay.
Then,
Well, it's good at least you guys have been talking
Yeah,
about
that's-
this, so.
that wasn't even an ideal situation at the time because the yard slopes to the east toward Steve's property, but it also slopes to the north. So
Oh.
it's going in both directions.
So
The,
essentially it would have.
the
been
appealing
down
thing
kind of
about this is the most flat area that's the easiest place to build, in theory. So,
Okay,
so I guess if he changes his mind and moves it, then that's a neighbor thing.
that's kind of
So,
a
yeah.
you thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Because we
but-
can't really dictate where he's gonna plant
Right.
that thing.
But as a neighbor directly behind him, it
Sure.
affects us the most probably of any neighbors. The location he's showing, or if you can
Well-
pull it forward, I'm supporting what they came here to
What
try.
I, and I'm not gonna put words in his mouth, what I sense with him is he's gonna attempt to accommodate A, the site, and B, the neighbors.
There we go.
So,
Okay,
that's the goal.
yeah, and
Okay.
and obviously, and you know as a builder, that the most economical place to place it is probably where he's gonna end up with it.
yeah,
So.
I get you. So that's what we do. So, all right, well, I'll sit and let you guys finish
No,
up.
you're-
Appreciate the time.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, now I completely lost where I was headed.
Discussion.
Yeah, we could do that. Oh, that's where I was headed. Thanks, Bob. Okay, because I did note, Paul, can you put the overhead back up, the satellite overhead? Thanks. And I think we pointed it out, is that it is conforming, what he wants to do is conform you to the neighborhood, because if you look at the house immediately to the south, it's actually got a garage, detached garage, and an accessory building. And that accessory building is huge in relation. And so it is not unusual for the neighborhood. And that's, I mean, it's zoned SR there, but they're older properties. I'm sure that they were zoned SR. And they're essentially, they're somewhat compliant. But I don't think that this improvement changes the character of the immediate neighborhood. And when I say the immediate neighborhood, I mean the properties that are on Tussock. And probably has limited, if any, impact to those that are on Whitetail. That would be my opinion. So, and I think at that point, I don't have any other comments. So,
That area to the north, what is that, an easement?
Or is that part of?
No, that's
looks like
part of
Steve's,
the other property, yeah.
you've got a,
It's from,
That's your part.
when I said that, yeah, when I said that
Oh,
Steve knows the
really?
property really well, it's, because all of it was the farm that is our house now
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And, Steve developed Whitetail.
Oh,
So
so
I
you're
think-
the
wasn't it an
developer
access
for
road or
Whitetail?
something that-
Okay.
Yeah, it
There
was
was
part
a-
of, when we did Whitetail.
Oh, you want to come up to the microphone so we can hear you on the,
I'm sorry.
on the recording? No, that's fine. This is.
No, that's fine. So when we built Whitetail Lane, the lot here that I bought, and owned, we signed an agreement that it would be not used for road access, et cetera.
Oh, okay.
And there's a water main through there. So, yeah, so we actually, I weed kill it, mow it, we take care of it. There are kids in the back behind us there on Park Bend, they play football. I mean, it's a nice, it's maintained.
Yeah, so it's
So,
essentially open.
yeah,
space.
yeah. So that's my land as well, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
That's interesting to know. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, well, yeah, and if you look at it, I don't see a whole lot of options available, especially if the slope is the way he has specified that it is. That's probably where it needs to go. That's probably his only alternative. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's the way it looks to me as a layman.
Yeah, and for me, he answered the questions that, when I read the staff report, I mean, he brought all the information in, as long as he,
Yeah.
as long as, I don't know if we have to condition it, that he meets all the code, all the other
Oh,
codes.
well,
I think that's one of
I
the-
think we do need to make that as a condition. It's got to be compliant to the code.
Right.
We're allowing, the variances to allow the construction of the structure
Right.
only. The remainder, it's got to be compliant.
Right, I think,
Yeah.
I think when we get down to it, I think that's just got to be
Yeah,
thrown in there
that
to
would be
make
my
sure.
opinion.
And it's already done in there.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Then I have
I
nothing
must
further.
have read the Cliff Notes. So,
That's more for the record.
there you go. So, okay. Does anybody have any other questions for staff or the applicant? Anything?
So our only question is if you wanted to put some kind of condition if the other building, so then they could have, if they attach that one, then they would be able to build another building. That's our only question for as staff. If you wanted to add that as a
Yeah, I hear
condition to
you.
the motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you didn't see the hamster up on the wheel.
Wouldn't that require another variance application though?
Wouldn't it?
Because it would already have one accessory building.
Because then it would become, yeah,
No, because if you,
oh, because you've approved the
you're
second.
approved, they're
accessory.
approving you
Oh,
to
yeah.
have two accessory buildings.
Okay.
So if you get rid of an accessory building by attaching, making it part of the house,
Right.
or then they could build another accessory
So
building.
can we, I have a question for staff. So, or is it your question that we condition the variance on the fact that we are granting this structure and not a variance to have a second one to prevent essentially another variance will having to come back to us? Is that what you're asking? I mean, 'cause that's what I'm asking.
If the existing one that's adjacent to the house
Mhm.
is attached to the house,
It goes away.
our question is, do you want
No, that's what
then
I'm
to allow, that would allow the person to build another building? So they could have
This request.
two back there.
Right.
So what we're saying is, we're giving a variance for 2 accessory buildings on that property. What Susan's saying, if you attach the first accessory.
No, I know, that's what I'm
building-
saying. Can we limit this variance to this structure, meaning that we're not giving an open variance to 2 buildings? Or is that just, is this just an outcome of the decision?
No, I think you can condition it.
I think that's what I'm saying. That's
But
what
I
I
think
was
our
picking up
condition-
from Susan,
Our
is
condition
that,
would be-
I think
Limited.
if
It has to be if one of the
For
accessory
this-
buildings becomes part of the main
Well,
structure.
Yes.
I think
Not-
that- Well, I think the condition should be that it is for this structure only.
right,
Okay, and anything else that this owner or any future owners, if they wanted to attach the garage and come back, then they would have to come back for any additional structures. I think that's the way you condition it,
I
just
think
my opinion.
probably the clearer way to say is we're granting it for this structure as it is, as the land is conformed right now.
Right.
Not the idea that
Right.
this land now has a variance for
Variances
2,
for this particular
for
structure.
this one here.
Yes,
Yeah, I like that conditioning. I don't want to grant 2 buildings.
I mean, I think if somebody removed the existing garage and they wanted to build it a little different or something, that would be fine. But just not to have another one over on the other side.
Right.
And maybe your, lot coverage may dictate that they couldn't do that. I don't know. It depends on,
No,
but
if
it's,
he's at
you got,
9 now,
pretty,
he's got a little
yeah.
bit of room, so.
we got-
No, I like that idea, conditioning the variance for this structure.
Because see, the problem is, just so the homeowner, Mr. Murphy, you understand, is it's not you, it's going forward. This,
Right, I
this
understand.
variance
It's-
lives in perpetuity beyond
Right.
all of us, so, and that's what I think that we're trying to address.
Well, it could be him. or anybody
Right,
else.
it could be, but
him,
it doesn't
anybody else
necessarily
going
have to
forward.
be.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You know, he may have 12 kids and have to move. You never know.
Then he wouldn't be another
We've run out of space.
Yeah, I like that condition on it.
So, does somebody want to go through Duncan versus Middlefield? Not everyone at once.
I'll go through it.
Thank you, Dave. Oh, before you do that, I assume there's no other public comment in the room. If there is, please come to the podium. Hearing none, there you go. Now, if you go ahead and proceed.
Okay, the board discussion and findings of fact, the board reviews section 307.06 of the zoning resolution reflecting Duncan versus Middlefield as it pertains to the area variance requested from section 1609.01.c to allow for a second accessory building on a lot of less than 1 acre in a suburban residential SR zoning district as follows. The property in question would yield a reasonable return, and there can be beneficial use of the property without the variance. And that's basically that it's existing today in the sense that it's usable in the condition that it's in today. So it could be a reasonable return and a beneficial use of the property without the variance. B, the variance, I would say is substantial because it's, would you agree that it's 100%?
But yeah, it allows them to double the accessory buildings.
Yes, it's 100%, and there's 2 accessory buildings versus the 1 allowable. C, the essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered, and adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. And basically, it's not a huge structure. It's back away from the roadway, and based on the aesthetics and the design of the structure, I don't believe that it'll be a substantial detriment to the community and for the result of the variance. D, the variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. Again, it's within the drainage easement setbacks, and there should not be any issues with governmental services.
It's outside of the drainage easement, it's not in the drainage.
Oh, I meant inside, well, I meant inside his property
Okay,
of it. It's
okay.
outside of the drainage
There you
easement,
go.
yes, for
Okay.
correction. I want to say, E, the property owner did purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. It's usually in the deeds and the written documents. F, the property owner's predicament cannot be feasibly obviated through a method other than the variance, just for the fact of the slope and the conditions associated with.
He could attach the garage to the house.
He could attach the garage to the house. Yes.
Now,
Or
whether
take down
that's-
the old garage building and garage
Right.
there.
Whether or not that's financially feasible is.
Yeah, I would say it goes to feasibility.
Right,
I mean,
exactly, but it could conceivably be.
But as
So-
condition for the secondary building,
Mhm.
there's not really a place. to
As far as
put it. It's a-
location,
Yeah, as far as
right.
location.
No, I agree.
G, the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed, and substantial justice would be done by granting the variance. And any questions?
No. Teresa, do you have anything? No? Well, I think if there's no further discussion by the members of the board or questions to the applicant, I guess we're ready to make a motion.
Do we want to
Oh,
I get, just to make it go faster, do we want to talk about how we want to word the condition
Yeah.
before we get in the motion so we can,
that's probably,
Yeah.
that's probably a reasonable idea.
yeah, just,
So, how do you want to, because I said earlier what my opinion would be is that it would include a condition that the variance is for this particular structure only. That additionals, if the property's altered in a manner where this is the only accessory building, then it would require an additional variance for any additional accessory buildings. And if somebody that is much better at the English language than I can
So-
roll that down.
so really the condition is if, and obviously we know where this one's being placed, but it's, if any of the existing accessory buildings become a part of the main structure,
Right,
they have to come back.
right. And that's why I say, for me, it's the variances for this particular building.
Yeah, I think.
But I don't know if that's too narrow or,
Well, let's approach it from the other direction. I think
Okay.
what, at least in my mind, the caution is that we don't want to grant a blanket
correct.
variance for two buildings.
Correct.
So that a future homeowner comes in and says, well, look, back in 2024, you
Right.
granted two buildings, and this is my second building.
Exactly.
And so, I think probably that, I mean, I haven't thought of a word yet, but I think that's, I mean, we might as well be specific about what we're trying to prevent, as opposed to,
Yeah.
leave no obscurity for a lawyer
Right,
later.
so that there's no, that there's no doubt, somebody looking at the variance, they say, oh, and maybe I am right.
Yeah, I think it just has to
Is
be,
for this particular structure only.
and not a grant for not a grant for two buildings to this lot.
Correct. And maybe we should put that in there also, is that this is not intended to be for multiple structures, but for this structure only.
Question,
Yeah,
Please.
would you, but if that existing garage was tore down and they wanted to build another one in its place, would you be okay with that? Because what I'm hearing you say, if you limit, then you're kind of limiting somebody from doing something to that building.
I think the direction you need to go in, any reduction to the existing variance for the two accessory buildings, any reduction going forward would require an additional variance.
Say that again?
Any reduction to the current variance of two accessory buildings, any reduction would require an additional variance.
Any reduction in the number of buildings would require an additional variance.
Yes.
That's good.
Okay.
I like
Want
it.
to go with that?
Yeah.
Bob? Okay. So, got it?
Perfect, right, a little bit.
Got it? Yeah, well,
That's
see, you
gonna
you were
scribble that.
quiet. You got to think about it.
We're all scribbling, okay. Okay. Shall I move, are we ready to move?
You ready to,
Mhm.
you guys ready? Yeah, go ahead, here, Teresa.
Where are we? Okay. Ta-da. I will move to incorporate exhibits
I think it's
A through D.
E,
I
We
think
didn't,
it's E,
E, we
actually.
didn't get any new
Yep,
ones, right?
E.
A through E. As well as the board's findings pertaining to the review of section, okay. 307.06 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution into evidence and to approve the requested variance from section 1609.01.c of the Genoa Township zoning resolution for BZA 2024-03 application received February 26, 2024, to allow for a second accessory building on property known as Lot 1274 in Waters Subdivision, 6809 Tussock Street Road, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, zoned suburban residential. The motion is based on the following findings of fact pursuant to Section 307.04 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution, that such variance or modification will not be contrary to the public interest because it meets code requirements. It has been reviewed by Township Services and has been endorsed by the neighbor. That owing to special conditions of literal enforcement in the zoning resolution will result in an unnecessary hardship because they need larger space.
Well, literal enforcement would not allow him to build the building.
Right. Would not allow him to construct another accessory building.
Right.
Or alter his home to.
Or, right, or alter his home to accommodate the additional space. That the approval of such variance and modification thereof is consistent with the spirit of the zoning resolution and substantial justice shall be done thereby, because it is in line with neighboring properties as far as accessory buildings, both location and number, and it's been adequately reviewed. The approval of the subject variance is subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. All required permit, zoning, or otherwise be obtained. Pursuant to Section 307.11 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution, the approved variance shall lapse, expire, and be null and void ab initio if required zoning permits are not obtained within 1 year of this motion of approval. Extensions to this variance may be requested pursuant to Sections 307.11.a and b of the Genoa Township zoning resolution as may be amended. The Board of Zoning Appeals does grant the Genoa Township zoning inspector authority to extend this variance at their discretion, subject to the deadlines established within Section 307.11.a of the Genoa Township zoning resolution as may be amended, and any reduction to the current variance for 2 accessory buildings in the future will require an additional variance.
Okay,
That's not exactly.
I'm gonna make 2 comments.
I wrote that.
Oh, and I'll second the motion, by the way.
Okay.
And I'll make 2 comments. One, my opinion is that it is compliant with, that this is compliant with the neighborhood, the overall neighborhood, and that but for the fact that that garage is not attached to the house, he wouldn't be here. So, with that, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Anyone?
Are we good with the condition?
Condition?
What
Makes
did it
sense.
read again?
I read exactly what you wrote.
Any reduction to the current variance for 2 accessory buildings in the future will require an additional
I
variance.
thought initially you said any reduction to the number of
That's what I
buildings.
said,
Number of
yes.
buildings.
It's not the number of, it's,
Okay.
because once he builds this building, he will have 3 buildings.
Right,
If if somebody adds the other one to the house, making it
Yeah,
2
but this is 2
buildings.
accessory buildings.
Structures, you initially said structures.
no, I said structures and.
I said 2 accessory buildings, Susan.
So do we want to amend the
Say it
condition?
again.
Yes. we
To-
gotta-
Any reduction to the current variance for 2 accessory buildings in the future will require an additional variance.
That's.
It's a little wonky. Could I get any reduction to the number of accessory buildings will require, well,
No,
you can't do that.
Worded that way, would it require a variance to remove one of the accessory buildings?
No,
Because it says any reduction to the number.
yeah, I
So if
know.
you-
Yeah,
That's the-
that, I
that-
don't,
that's-
it's
that's-
kind of,
It's counterintuitive.
here's,
I don't have any plans, but like you said. in the
Yeah,
future,
well, the
like,
guy after
I
you
don't want to
might,
mess it
you
up,
never
yeah.
know.
if the current accessory building is attached to the dwelling, therefore reducing the number of accessory buildings to 1,
Mhm.
Then you would have
another
to-
accessory building cannot be constructed under the variance approved.
Right, is that?
I like that.
I want to
I'd like
add one
to-
other
let's
thing to that
amend it to
because,
that.
hold on,
Yeah,
I think you're on the right track. there's two things could happen. They could either, and I want to make sure everybody's on board.
Sure.
They could either put an extension there to make it one,
A foyer.
or remove this. So is it both of those
Yes.
conditions, or is it just making it one? Because I would say, the only thing I would amend on yours is basically say, any alteration of the current structure such that you would attach the garage or remove the garage would require another variance for another structure, another accessory building. Because it's not just attaching a thing. If they got rid of the garage, if that's still an issue, then you've got to mention it.
I don't know. Like I said, I asked that question before. If somebody came along and they wanted to remove that garage,
What are we trying to
but
protect?
they
That's all.
wanted to, like, build it a little different,
What we're trying to prevent
You get a
is,
one,
is
like you're
a s-
saying.
is second
You gotta
or
get a
in
variance.
fact, a third accessory structure is,
I think
what
it's
would
any
it-
reduction in the number of structures.
Any reduction, well,
You
in the
guys-
number of the two structures
Right.
that are current variance.
Right.
Yeah, you'd have to get an.
Right, because currently there are 3 structures on this property.
No,
No,
but accessory.
there's actually
buildings.
right
Two,
now-
wait, there's a structure and 2 accessory buildings. I'm
Yes.
saying you're wrong.
Yes.
There's the current configuration is 1 structure, 2 accessory buildings.
Right.
If there's any reduction in that number requires another variance.
Any reduction
No.
in the two.
That's not-
Accessories.
buildings,
Right,
you have to get another variance.
right.
That's what I just said.
I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
okay, I'm totally confused now.
Yeah.
Maybe if I see it written down.
If you can read my writing.
It's better than mine.
I just think it needs to be really simple.
Yeah.
If
It
the
does.
existing garage is attached to the house, they can't build another garage.
Or remove.
They can't build another one.
If it's attached.
If they
or
remove it,
removed.
I think I'm okay with them building another one. It's just, they can't attach that one and then build another one. But if they wanted to like
So that gets-
remodel the one that's there, or they wanted
So
to
if you have a
put it
reduction, you go to
make it
one more.
bigger or
Hold,
something, would you be
hold,
all right
hold,
with that?
Hold 1 second.
Because we're granting the variance for a second.
Or it's not an issue at all and nobody cares?
Yeah, I don't have a problem if one is removed and
You know what it
replaced.
is? Here's what the hangup is the hangup is the current, where you say, any addition, boy, we could spend all
Any
night on
reduction.
syntax.
Not addition,
Any,
reduction.
any reduction to the current variance for 2 accessory buildings, I think it should be any reduction to the current number of structures for 2
Number of
accessory buildings.
buildings.
But I, you know what?
Building, the structure has. a
I'm
meaning.
far from the guy that ought to be. Bob, does that make sense to you? The way it's,
I think the variance.
A
in
reduction
there-
to the current variance for 2 accessory buildings in the future will require an additional variance.
because I know what we're trying to do.
I
but
think that first variance word needs to go away.
See,
Wait.
that's the one that's got
In
me.
addition to the
Yes,
current,
I'm with
wait,
you.
this, well, why don't we just do it this way? This variance is based upon the current structure and 2, current structure and accessory building to which we're adding a second, the variance is for a second structure. If there is a reduction in the number of buildings,
Accessory buildings.
My head hurts now.
accessory buildings,
You know, how
you have to
long
get
have
a
I been
second
doing
variance.
this and I
That's-
can't?
We keep coming back to just nuancing what you wrote down.
I know.
So this is actually okay with me because we're nuancing, because the record's also going to be out there.
True.
You're going to have the record.
That's true. What did
That-
we
that at the
intend?
end of the day, we have almost beat
What-
this dead horse.
Right.
That-
What did we intend? Here, for the record, here's what we intend.
Well,
We've got-
actually, you got the motion.
We've got 1 accessory, we've got 2, we've got another one, so for a total of 2. If the garage is attached or torn down, then, right, then it becomes 1, and any additional structures are gonna require
An
a
additional
variance. All right.
Perfect.
Ready to vote? Shall I call the vote? Mr.
Well,
Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. DeRose?
Yes.
Ms. Yu?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Hopefully in 30 years, they'll be able to understand
This
this.
was the most painful part
Yeah,
of
really.
your
Yeah.
process.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy, for your patience,
And thank you for your
and good luck
participation.
with your project. Oh, man. All right.
I'm not a lawyer.
What's that?
This is why I'm not a lawyer. I don't like the
In my head,
discussing,
I'm sitting over here
I don't like
thinking.
the discussing
Oh.
the minutia. of
Okay,
terms.
so that the hearing is
Basically says,
concluded.
"Wait, my client, or not here, at
But-
the prosecutor's office, when they give the notice, say,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
It said they
That,
granted two.
that's why I
Yeah.
said, now let's just, for the
And that's-
record.
And that's why I started thinking the other way. I'm sitting there thinking, well, if I'm representing that client, I'm gonna say those guys.
Right. Well, we are still on the record. So, the hearing's concluded. Do we have any further business? Okay. I want to take a 30-second break. Off the record, please.
I gotta, just to let you know, we already have an application for next month, and then your other one that was continued will be next month
It comes up in
too,
April as
so
well, yes.
Even if they ask to
We're still
not,
going to be
you're
here
still gonna be here
regardless,
'cause we already
yes, because
have
we'll
another
have to either
application.
continue or hear that
We
application.
have a new application
Correct.
also.
Okay, 30 seconds, Paul.
Yeah.
All right, I will. Okay, I will, at this time, entertain a motion to adjourn if there is no further business. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Then I guess we're adjourned.